We are live.
Let's go! Evening
Hell
Rants.
yeah.
Welcome to the new YouTube channel, by the way. YouTube.com/@Evening Rants. If you like YouTube, and a lot of people do, or if you're watching on X or Rumble, I love Rumble. I wish we could send everyone to Rumble. However, I'm not going to lie, when I'm driving, I usually just have my YouTube feed, and I have Timcast in there. I have a lot of different podcasts. I listen to Pat McAfee. So for me, being that a lot of what I listen to is either Rogan, McAfee, things like that. I do like sports stuff because I have to keep up with that, like stuff on my buddy Sharon, the head coach of University of Michigan. I always keep YouTube going because it's just easy. Rumble's not there yet. I hope it gets there. However, please, if you're on any platform, go to youtube.com/@Evening Rants, and you should enjoy this. We are going to if you're used to us just going off the throttle, we're still going to go off the throttle, but within reason, because YouTube doesn't like when you go off the throttle like we normally go off the throttle.
What Mark is meaning is that I'm going to calm down a little.
Man, how about that? That episode yesterday was my favorite of all time, by the way. If you guys are on YouTube, go to Rumble or go to Twitter and look that up. We had a great, I think he's honestly a nice guy. He's just misinformed and needs new friends. He does have a best friend who's black who's voting for Trump, by the way.
Yes.
We found out. Yeah. I think Josh is someone I would hang out with, I'd train with. I just think he's been kind of brainwashed. And sometimes to get deprogrammed to what you've been taught is very hard to do. And I look forward to having him back on, but he and Alan had a very heated exchange, which was awesome.
It was like a therapy session for me.
Yeah. When I debate, I'm more of so what I do is you'll see, like when I did that thing with that John guy on YouTube, right? Yeah. Like I kept everything down to make sure that, it gives you more control of the conversation when you have it in that space. So my goal was to control the conversation. And I believe I did.
You did, especially. I do both. It depends on who, and I'm feeling it out. I could tell he was getting heat. I could tell he was getting heated. So if I start raising my voice, he's going to keep getting heated, and therefore walk himself into issues like the whole black job, black vote thing. Like if there's a black vote, there's a black job. That to me, that's just funny, And dude, Josh, if you're watching, seriously, man, you're welcome back on anytime. Text us because we're in a text thing together. And I had a great time. I know he was so
much fun.
He seemed rather upset. He was like, "You wouldn't say that to my face." I'm like, "Oh, dude."
No, I actually corrected him on that one. I'm like, actually, of all people to not say something to your face, Alan's not the guy to not. He's like, in fact, I'd prefer you say something not to their face, so nothing comes from it other than just words. So
the thing is,
with that being said, I'm glad it wasn't an in-person interview.
Yeah, me too. Oh, but that being said, I just think that, first of all, I mean, even though one of my catchphrases is "stay violent," it doesn't mean I go to violence. It just means I stay capable of violence, right? But secondly, I find it really just different than how I was raised. I grew up in a generation where we say shit to the people's faces that we would want to say, and that's where I came from. It was obviously he's obviously a little younger than us, and that's understandable. Or younger than me, definitely. Fucking everybody is just about. But there are fucking redwood trees that are younger than me. But my thing about this is always happy we had the conversation, but I have very little tolerance for people that when he brought up the spicy virus thing. I was like, well, here's the data, and he was like, nope.
Well, the good news is when you sent him the data afterwards, he was very receiving and thanked you.
Yeah, he said thank you. Yes.
With these conversations that we have with individuals, we open their minds to discuss, and that's all we want to do. Whether it starts out fiery, and then maybe he did do the research and it wasn't biased research. So, in science, for those of you who aren't, don't spend your days immersed in PubMed or trying to formulate delicious bars. By the way, I do have the Planta bar that just launched in Vitamin Shop this week. It's at about 25% of the vitamin shops. I just, hopefully I'll know tomorrow. I believe I just hit the winning formula for a third flavor. And I'm not going to tell you the flavor it'll be, but it might have cookies and cream in it. Maybe not together. So, I mean, look, man, my days are spent researching things, whether it's exercise science, nutrition, So a lot of people just aren't used to researching, but in research, there's something called confirmation bias. And confirmation bias is the opposite of science. Science, when you do a study, when you commission a study, which I've actually funded a study before, your goal is to disprove your hypothesis. That should be your goal. That way, you're basically trying to poke holes in your hypothesis. When you're trying to simply prove your hypothesis, that would be confirmation bias. And so what people do is they'll search terms like, why is this great? Or tell me what, instead of, is this great? You know what I'm saying? So there's a difference in how people search terms, or maybe they're looking at media sources. They're not looking at both sides. So our goal is to bring people into this sphere where they can look at things objectively. And that's why, you know, he's like, well, you're a Trumper. Like, actually, no. And then Alan and I, afterwards, Alan actually sent him links to where Alan and I were both being very, very, very critical of Trump. So, and the reason we're voting, and then I listed out the reasons I voted for Trump, to the point where he's like, well, that was just, I wasn't ready for that. It was too much. I'm like, well, those are my reasons. That's how many reasons there are. And I have those reasons listed right in front of me right now, because I make informed political decisions. It's not based on the candidate. I do Ben Franklin charts for just about everything in my life. Ben Franklin chart is basically a good old positive, negative. Like, if I'm like, okay, I'm going to compete in the Mr. Olympia. What are the positives? Cool. What are the negatives? Cool. And then whichever side has more compelling and more reasons for it, I do yes or no. So I actually will physically, in my notebook right here, write down Ben Franklin charts all day long. That's just how my brain works or doesn't work. So what a lot of Democrats do is they simply have bias towards what they've always known. And I did this podcast with Ashira Salman, who's the Black and Jewish lady, and it's actually going really well. It's on Rumble. And I basically was like, why do Jews vote Democrat? Well, because Jews vote Democrat. That's the only reason why. It's just what they do. They never look into the issues. They never look into what behooves their people the most. They just know that, hey, I'm Jewish. Historically, Jews vote Democrat, so I'm going to keep voting Democrat. Right. And that's where you get into huge issues.
I agree. Absolutely. And for those of you that are new to Evening Rants, because you just didn't want to move over from YouTube, that are all of a sudden joining us on YouTube, welcome. Make sure you like, subscribe, notification bells, share it as much as you can. We realize it's going to be a minority of the audience, but these are the type of topics that we're trying to have every single day. Like, we're trying to, have, even when Mark and I disagree, we're trying to have conversation to help build around, like our lives. And I just think the problem in our society, one of the biggest problems, is that we are so dichotomous, and yet no conversation is being had. And I think that's what we do here. And I'm very, very proud of that. I really am. So I'm proud of this.
You know what was the greatest part?
Any of the content.
The greatest part of the conversation yesterday is we were talking about the issues with the shot, right? Yeah, we're like, and he's like, I didn't get that. Huh? I didn't trust it at all. Oh, you know that your two candidates wanted to mandate it for everybody to be able to function in society. He didn't even know that. Like, so there's the thing, like, as we, and I'm like, you could look that one up, as we talk, as we educate, we learn. And I learn new things every day. On the way to the gym, I always listen to Timcast every single day, because he usually films his first one when I'm on the way to the gym, because he's an hour ahead on the East Coast. And then, during the day, I'll listen to different things. I'll listen to Rogan and Huberman, this morning. So just keep learning, keep researching things. Like we had, she's coming on next week. Rachel came on. I read her book on feminism, learned a ton of new things. The problem is we get comfortable when you stop. I always said this in business: when you stop learning, you stop earning. And that goes for everything. Earning not only as forms of fiscally or financially, but earning in terms of knowledge. Knowledge is not given to you, it's earned, meaning you have to actively pursue knowledge to gain more knowledge. And that's what we wish to do on this show. That's why, out of our busy schedules, we always make time, unless it's absolutely unavoidable. If there's something like my kids' sports, that's the only time. Right. My wife, I'll push her to the side for this show any day. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to learn. And what's crazy, Alan, is we learn a lot of people are really bad people. Yep. And the Krasensteins, who are paid shills for the left. So our good friend, Dr. Simon Godek, who I'm actually going to, I'm helping him a little on the side. I have to get back to him today. We're going to have a conversation about it. he posts this. Did you know the Krasensteins actually hosted teen corn sites? Corn. It is YouTube, bro. Well, and that sums up pretty much everything you need to know about Ed Krasenstein and the other Krasenstein. And they're both apparently 5'2" tall, which for me to make fun of someone's height, you need to be really short. Really? So yeah, you look at these screenshots. These are owned by them, 16 adult domains, blah, blah, blah. There's some more stuff in this thread. I mean, wow. yeah, it's pretty. And if you go down the thread, it gets even worse.
The lesson is don't upset Simon. Good God.
Look at this. Look at this. I'm particularly interested in forum and sites that are aimed towards young adults and teens. And then you go down further.
Aren't these two dudes people that are very, very critical of the Tates?
Yes, and they're also very critical. They're basically mouthpieces, no pun intended, based on their sites. They're mouthpieces for, look, 17onlygirls.com.
Oh, Jesus.
Is one of their sites, apparently. That's their email. I mean, the thing is, once you put it on the internet, you know that, and here's another one of their, I'm actually a very frequent visitor to this one right here.
What's that?
I'm not going to say the name. jomoexuals.co.in. Wow. Yeah. So once you do that, you know, the internet's coming out. Here's another one. I mean, it's just nonstop. So these guys, I'm not saying they're broke, but if you're going to talk about how the Tates made their money, you got to talk about how these leftists make their money too.
Yep. You absolutely do. And that's the thing. Like it's the hypocrisy of it all that's crazy to me. Just absolutely insane.
Hypocrisy, Alan. You mentioned hypocrisy.
Yes. Yes, I did.
It's what we see a lot of.
Yes, it is. And there's I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted today because I have something I want to talk about so bad that I'm just going to get to it. Okay.
Did you not feel the segue?
Yes.
Did you not feel the segue? Because I'm not getting involved in this one. For the record, I'm hands off. I'm hands off.
So for those of you that have watched my content at all in the past know that I started my YouTube channel doing basically comedy, like roasting comedy. It's what I think I'm pretty good at. Mark knows what it's like. And then
oh yeah, you destroyed me.
One of the names that I used to speak about is Dr. Lane Norton, right? And it's because, you know, I personally don't like him very much, but also I felt that, you know, at the time when he was literally almost crippling himself, he would make it so he could barely move multiple times. Like he would film a bunch of videos, how his back is fucked up and blah, blah, blah. And that's pretty bad, right? But here's the thing, right? He posted today, and I'm gonna pull this up, but he posted, and we'll go to his post first. Because I think that's only fair to go to his post first.
Add some context. But, so basically, when you start listing, so instead of just saying, here's where I disconnect. Like when someone says something bad about me, I normally don't mention their name because they're going to just come back at me. And like the only time I did it was actually respectful. I said, hey, there's a video by Huberman saying that low reps don't build muscle. Here's actual data to show that's incorrect. And then Huberman actually posted back. He's like, that's not what I said. Then I said, actually, here's your video saying it. And then he didn't reply. And I like Huberman. I listen to Huberman. I'm a Huberman fan. But I'm sure as a scientist, he wants to be called out on when he was wrong. And I'm sure he respected it, right? But I didn't say Huberman's a hack. Huberman doesn't know what he's talking about. I said, look, because he's not. The guy's a fucking genius. Right. But on that specific issue where he is not an expert, he is not a hypertrophy expert.
No.
I'm like, okay, step back. Guys, don't listen to that. Actually, low reps have higher fiber recruitment and you're going to get better results.
Yeah.
When you go out and you say, and you call somebody a bunch of yappers and you list out names, and honestly, putting you next to Jason Blaha in and of itself, that's not very nice. Like that's fighting words.
Well, honestly, Lane's opinion doesn't matter to me for lots of reasons, which I'll get into in here in just a second. But he said today I hit an all-time PR because I made videos fully saying I made videos that that he was probably going to wheelchair himself permanently, right? And I just, when you looked at what was going on at the time, it was a viable theory, at least, you know?
He has very long femurs. So his squat, and I'm not saying this is an insult because I have the same, I don't squat for that reason. I'm not trying to be a power lifter.
Yeah.
I used to squat really heavy, but what happens is with longer
that was actually my advice to him, like, because he reported back that my femurs are too long to squat without folding over, and I said, well, maybe you shouldn't power squat. Maybe, I mean, like, come on now, you know?
Yeah. But basically what happens is your form, and Ed Cohn did this as well, who's the greatest powerlifter of all time,
right?
Is your upper body will have to fold over, resembling more of a good morning. If you don't know what those are, it's basically a squat, but you're bending over instead of moving your knees,
right?
With the weight on your shoulder and about a shoulder width stance. So with that being said, I digress. Go on, Alan.
Okay, so now I made multiple videos after that about another topic that that's what I'm focused on, because I'll tell you this right now. Today, I hit an all-time PR deadlift at this body weight, 208, at 42 years old, after tons of people like Functional Patterns, which I made tons of videos about him too. I thought it was funny. Jason Blaha, tons of videos about him. Myself and a bunch of other yappers said I'd be in a wheelchair, which I still say there was a pretty good chance you were going to do that to yourself, but I digress. He said, y'all real quiet now. Well, 725 pounds. Huge lift, and congratulations on not wheelchairing yourself. And, you know, that is an enormous lift. But I will say this, when you say y'all real quiet, maybe if you tagged me, I would have fucking known about it, because I don't stay quiet. And it's easy to say they're all quiet now when I didn't know what the fuck that you even mentioned my goddamn name, bitch. So here, my retort to him is this. My retort to him is, if only you would have been as, is it on? Yeah. If only you would have been as successful at not cheating on your wife while she was home pregnant, taking care of your already existing special needs kid with a woman that left you the second she got her green card. Have the day you deserve. Because that actually became my biggest issue with him. I am a staunch family man, and you are a piece of shit, bitch. So you don't get to sit in judgment of me, especially when you're too big of a bitch to actually fucking tag me, you hoe. Now, the other thing I will say is that Lane Norton is intellectually dishonest and uses his PhD as a weapon to try to sell shit. And I'm going to do a video on That Angry Bald Man channel, my new channel, and that'll be out tomorrow. So thank you for pulling me out of retirement for the fitness roast, Lane. I appreciate you, and I'm sure other people are going to also. Have a great fucking day.
What is that URL, Alan?
The URL is at That Angry Bald Man.
So youtube.com/@ you have to put the @ sign now. There's no more new URLs. That Angry Bald Man. And hey,
that'll be tomorrow.
You know, I'm friendly with Lane.
I don't expect you to step in, say anything.
But I'm not going to prevent you from, look, man, if you would have come on and said, I'm going to say this on Evening Rants out of nowhere, I would have been like, no, that's not cool, man. Like, he didn't say anything. Like, just live and let live. But the fact that he listed you next to Jason Blaha, I mean, you only have the right to say something. And that's why I try. See, like the Dave Palumbo issue I had, the whole beef I had with him. I didn't even know Dave Palumbo existed. Guys, we're not in the fitness realm anymore. We're just not. I mean, Ambrose, like, I'm dealing with large accounts. I mean, my days are spent in board meetings. I always take selfies of me sleeping during board meetings to Alan, or pretending to be awake. And look, man, we're not in that arena. Like, we would have not known about this until Palumbo called me the G word and the R word, which aren't bad words. I'm okay with those words, but not when you call me that, because I am neither. Maybe one of two. You could figure out which one. Right. I'm not even sure which one, but you know, and I didn't even roast anybody. I just called out his friend who was using fake pictures, Photoshop pictures to sell coaching. That was it. That's me policing my industry. So again, I have no beef with Dave. None. I still don't have beef with him.
Dude, and here's the thing for all the Lane Norton fans. I have passed up like 6 opportunities to fucking destroy him. Just so you guys know. Like, for real, I've passed up multiple opportunities to make tons of videos on him. There's a certain person who he did really fucking wrong that had been in contact with me for a while also. I'm sure you know who that is, Lane.
Yeah.
So, like, the thing is, and I passed up when he did the thing on berberine to try to shit on berberine supplements when he was completely intellectually dishonest and compared Ozempic weight loss to of 68 weeks to a
Remember when you went
of
after Mike Rashid? We held you back from that too.
Yeah, held me back from that. But like, my thing is, if you're going to compare a study of weight loss from 68 weeks to the weight loss from 12 weeks for two things and compare them equally, you're just either stupid, which Lane is not. He's not a stupid man. He's just intellectually dishonest. And I'll pull up the video tomorrow, and of course I'm going to have to fucking make a video now, bitch. And it is what it is, you know?
You know who loves destroying things?
What's that?
Kamala Harris.
Yes, she does. She destroys
Kamala Harris. Yep.
Whoa, huge.
Great. I like it better like that. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let me add this to stage. So that's how you hit that button and don't put anything on the stage. So Kamala Harris, we talked about this the other day. We talked about this in the debate. I talked about this on Timcast. So this is her proposal. Corporate tax rate up to 28%. We are currently one of, if not the highest in the world at 21%. Put that in perspective. Your prices on everything are going up because places like Kroger, who have high gross profit margin, have low net profit margin. So that extra 7% is going to be tacked right onto your eggs, your paper towels, your tampons, unless, of course, you go to school in Minnesota and you're a boy, whereas Tampon Tim will give you those for free. So 7% increase in corporate tax rate. You guys are like, tax the corporations. Guys, that's not just taxing Walmart. That's taxing me. And I'm not Walmart. We're day to day. We're paycheck to paycheck at the end of the day. Like, we're a cash flow company. Capital gains tax up to 44.6%, currently 20. And I can argue that capital gains tax is unconstitutional as is. You're taxing money that's invested that has already been taxed. That's bullshit. So she wants to increase that 24.6%. Unrealized gain tax, 25%. Now, I believe they have a threshold of like 100 million on that, which I can argue that's wrong, even if it's a 20 billion. Why should I give that to the government? I earned that money. What's the difference between if it's $100 or $100 million? No difference. Here's the problem. So if I have a house that I bought that increased, that appreciated by $100,000, let's say I paid 300, it went to 400. Assuming they don't keep the threshold where it's at, which they're going to lower it because they always want more. Right. That means that I would have to pay $25,000 a year on money I might not even get from selling that property. Unrealized gains tax is something that I would hope that any Congress and Senate would shoot down. But if the Democrats get the House and the Senate, we're in a situation where I'm switching to a cash-only business, just operating out of my car. I don't even know what to do. It's a situation where you cannot get ahead. The rich will find a way around this because they can afford the lawyers and the attorneys and the loopholes. For the average business owner of a 10 million and under company, 20 million, probably 30 million and under company, they can't afford the people to do this. You do realize this day and age, a $30 million company, to make that 30 million, they're probably spending $9 out of every 10 they make to reinvest back into social media ads, to reinvest back into advertising, sampling, affiliate programs. There's no way anyone would be able to afford this. So I would just like to say that there is so much on this ballot that should make you run to the polls and vote for Trump. And I'm not even talking about wars right now, but then Lil Pump puts it best. Lil Pump, I believe he's a rapper.
Yes.
Dear America, we aren't in a battle of left versus right. This is a battle of communism versus freedom. My mom grew up in Colombia and has seen the effects of communism firsthand. We can't ever let that happen here. The only way is if we elect Kamala, Trump 2024. He put it great.
Yep. You know, I just think that there's multiple things people don't understand. Back to the tax rate. Why do they get our money? Like, why do they get to decide how much of our money? They're our employees. Why do they get to decide how much of our money that they're going to take? One. And two, people are arguing about the tax rate when there shouldn't be a tax on unrealized gains. It's just insanity. I mean, it's completely fucked up. And my other point to this is, would this mean that they would stop borrowing money? Because you know that they're going to keep borrowing money even though we're going to have to pay more. So we're going to have to pay more, and they're going to keep borrowing money in our name. Fuck that. Like as it is right now, we should get rid of the IRS. We should have a flat sales tax on, especially on luxuries. If you really want the rich to pay, like you hear all the rich Democrats tax the rich. It's hilarious listening to like AOC worth $20 million, Elizabeth Warren worth like $40 million. Like they're like, tax the rich, tax the rich. Like, well, the way to tax the rich is to actually put a tax on consumption, especially of luxury goods.
Yes.
Right? If you put a tax on luxury goods, a yacht, something like that, guess what? that will help the fuel the government. And the biggest thing about it is we don't need to spend as much money as we've been spending nearly at all.
And we don't need the IRS. You get rid of,
no, we don't need it.
You get rid of billions, if not trillions of dollars in operating expense for the IRS. And think about if you just eliminated that, you'd have a ton more money. So that would be called a fair tax. The other option is a flat tax. A flat tax would be everybody is taxed 20%. The reasons that's fair is because everybody has a level playing field. But I do like the fair tax because, you know, rich people tend to buy cool stuff. Yeah. So if you have a tax on goods and rather than having a tax just for the hell of it, that means that, look, if you live a less lavish lifestyle, you save more. You could buy more stuff later on. If you have a more lavish lifestyle, well, you're going to have your stuff. But it doesn't mean that every paycheck I have is going to be ravaged by programs like Social Security and other programs that aren't even going to be there. Social Security is insolvent. It's been insolvent for years. And the problem is we keep adding to it. And now California wants to give $150,000 in home loans to illegal immigrants.
They're illegal immigrants.
So I don't get anything. Yeah. And I was born here. So I get punished for being a law-abiding citizen.
Right.
That's the American way. That's how Democrats want America. So you ask, oh, Trump did this, Trump University, this. I don't care. I don't care if the man, well, RFK kind of did, kills bears and dump them in Central Park. At the end of the day, what's best for America now?
Right. And you know,
Trump is what's best for America, and he's run a business. Yeah,
he's run a business, and the team he's putting together. Because here's my thing: I just want some hope, and I say it all the time. Trump is not the answer. Trump is a stopping block, in my opinion, so we can quell the totalitarianism. Like we can take a breath for a second and regroup, because we the people need to regroup. We the people need to get much healthier. That's actually being spoken about. If Trump did not have my vote before, all of you people need to understand there's no way. I'm literally wearing a shirt that Mark and I made 2 years ago that says "Make America Healthy Again." This has been brought to the forefront from the last couple weeks of actions. Make America healthy again. I have been yelling about this for 5-6 years, saying that the path we are on, the unhealthy path of chronic illness and disease, is unsustainable. So I'd be voting red because that's part of what they're looking to do, or at least part of what they're promising to do. Now, I can guarantee you this. It is not going to be enough for me. I am going to be dogging and bitching about it all the time, but it is at least being spoken about. Before, it's not. Like, this is still... Shit, Time Magazine. Did you see Time Magazine say that ultra-processed foods aren't that bad for you? May not be that bad for you?
I didn't see the article, but I can pull it. Is it free for everybody? Let me see.
I don't know. It's just...
I just saw the headline.
It's like... We have to buy time so we can, like, not lose our rights. Because if Kamala is elected, they're packing the court and they're taking our guns. You best believe it's happening. Like, I believe that was already the plan. That what will happen is if Kamala is elected, they will stage another January 6th, and they will make it seem as if they need to declare martial law and the guns are the problem. So now they need to take executive action, which she's spoken about doing. She has spoken about taking executive action. We need to stop that. Look at this. What if ultra-processed foods aren't as bad as you think?
Wow.
This is food industry propaganda that feeds the food industry, the big food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the healthcare industrial complex, and hurts people. It hurts the people. 100%.
Yeah. So here's the problem: is that there are rich lobbyist groups who lobby government on behalf of these guys, on behalf of ultra-processed foods companies. So that's where we're at right now. Back to the gun control thing. Did you see that a federal court has stated that machine guns are covered by the Second Amendment? and you can own one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying a machine gun this weekend, bro.
Are you?
I have to. How do you not buy? You know the gun store in Frank. You know Outpost Armory right up there down Murfreesboro Road. They're gonna have some machine guns in this weekend. They've probably had them on order for if this happens. They're just gonna ship right over. All gun laws are unconstitutional. I don't care what your stance is. At the end of the day, if you believe in the Constitution, you believe in all gun laws being unconstitutional.
Mm-hmm. Well,
including felons.
Yes.
If you are released from jail, you should have every right as someone who's never been in jail. Or else, why are we releasing you from jail?
And the reality is, like, the people that we have a Second Amendment to protect us from shouldn't be deciding how much of that Second Amendment we get.
Seriously. Seriously.
That's why we have the Second Amendment. We have the Second Amendment to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. The people that wrote the Constitution, wrote the Declaration, wrote the amendments, had literally just overthrown a tyrannical government. And by their meaning tyrannical, there was a 2% tax on tea. We just talked about 25% unrealized gains, 2% tax on tea. They're like, you bitches got to get out of here.
I almost got in a fight with the host. We went to the Boston Tea Party Museum, which isn't a museum. Don't go. It's like a little kid's. It's like a tour. It's so bad. But anyway, so the woman up there, I'm like, excuse me, don't you feel weird how you're doing all this acting in a state that has the taxes that Massachusetts does? And she said, well, we're not against taxation. We're against taxation without representation. I'm like, no, you're not. That's not what this was for. I'm like, that is a misinterpretation of history, young lady.
Young lady, stop.
I'm that old guy. And my wife's like, oh, fuck.
Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go again. MAGA Mark is at it again.
Yeah, you maggot Trumper. You're a Trumper.
What the fuck's a Trumper? When did Trumper become? Wasn't maggot the thing? Now it's Trumper's not really that bad. Maggot's really bad. That's creative. Trumper is like, okay, you're a Kamaler.
So
like, what is that?
I find myself doing this too, and this is actually the if we ever want to come together as a people, this is the rhetoric we need to get away from. And I'm just as guilty of this as most. But like, we say what a person is as an insult. Like, so if it's automatically like, I believe you voted for Donald Trump, so therefore you're a Trump voter, and I mean that as an insult. Or I believe you're a far leftist, and I'm saying that as an insult. Like, we have to get past that because it starts off the conversation in a biased fashion on both sides,
Yep.
And now here's my thought process. I do see a lot of people on the right willing to have conversations. And I'm not a huge fan of his, but he is winning me over. I have seen some interesting stuff from Charlie Kirk lately where he has truly, truly upped his game. Charlie's not just on the college campuses anymore. He's literally fucking up people like the Young Turks and shit like that. When I mean fucking them up, leaving them almost completely speechless without shit to say, because the logic train is just incredible right now. Like, he's dialed in. I think he's using mental jewels from Ambrosia Collective.
Nice.
He is dialed in. And he is having these conversations in a way that I am almost going to try to, like, not on here because evening rants, it's about ranting, but I'm going to start trying to have conversation, especially on these podcasts I'm going to be going on and stuff. If you're inviting me on your podcast, I want you to understand, I'm not going to be screaming, yelling, and swearing constantly. I want to have these conversations. This is just what we do for fun right here. You know? And I just think that we need to start having these conversations. But if we can't, we cannot come together as people to the point where we can sit down and talk about our differences and come to some sort of, at least, you believe this, I don't believe it, we are going to have to live in the same country and agree. If we can't do that, we might as well get to the pews right now. We just might as well do it. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, I think that right now the problem is people are really afraid because they're showing that even if you are a former president, even if you are probably you are the most popular man in the world, that they don't care.
Nope.
They will jail you anyway. They just jailed a guy from Knoxville, Tennessee, I believe for 4 months for January 6th. Now remember, that was a long time ago. So they're still picking people off. They're still putting them in prison and yet BLM people were actually bailed out by Kamala Harris herself. Yes. So Let's go to this. I haven't watched this, so hopefully it doesn't suck.
And we do have major breaking news. Special Counsel Jack Smith has just filed a superseding indictment in the federal election interference case against the former president, Donald Trump. Let's go straight to CNN's Caitlin Polance. Caitlin, this is just happening right now. What more do we know?
That's right. This is the special counsel's effort to get this case back on the road toward trial. This is the January 6th federal.
Does this not remind you of like a Saturday Night Live skit, the way they look?
Yes, like
this is so bad. This is so bad. Like, what the fuck is this woman? What? Like, she looks like the like a Saturday Night Live character. She has the glasses. Yes. She hasn't combed her hair in 2 days. Like, you're going on TV, lady. Comb your hair. What is up? Like, your hair's all messed up in the back. Like, don't they have makeup on site? Jeez. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I totally get it.
Federal election case in court in
that guy needs to go to Gitmo.
Yep.
We can't say the other thing he needs, but we're on YouTube now.
No.
Washington, D.C. against Donald Trump. The charges, the 4 charges that Donald Trump has been facing for quite some time now, they're the same in this, what's called a superseding indictment. So a rewritten version of the criminal charges against.
Supreme Court needs to just step in without anybody telling them to step in and just say, okay, cut this. This is election interference. This is treason. This is treason, guys.
Is it weird that we're talking about election interference with somebody that looks like, Monica Lewinsky if she was bought on Temu?
I mean, there's a lot going on with that lady. I don't mean to make fun of people's appearance, but like, there's a lot going on. I don't want to unwrap it all, but the whole intro.
We make fun of our own appearances. We can make fun of anybody else we want.
But the guy on the intro was just so cliche. And now to blah 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 blah.
Against the former president for conspiracy and other counts related to what he did after the 2020 election. But what the special counsel's office is saying they're doing here is they needed to go back to the grand jury, Phil, and rewrite those charges so that they would incorporate what they need to say that's in line with what the Supreme Court told them they must do.
Unreal. So they're circumventing the Supreme Court again. Fantastic.
So this is one more time why we have a Second Amendment. Just saying.
No, I mean this is when you have a tyrannical government that is producing lawfare on its enemies or its opposition.
Yeah,
that is banana republic stuff. It just is. Oh, yeah. And if the right was doing this right now, I'd say the same thing. Except if the Republicans actually do this, I'm going to cheer them on because hey, you opened that door. Sorry. Sorry, yep. Krasensteins, you go to jail too, you little punks.
Yeah. Remember the Supreme Court.
I will say I will fight those guys. I'm pretty sure I could take them. It'll be like 2 on 1.
I know what you're thinking. I'm not
going to say it. I'll get banned. I'm not afraid of being canceled. I'm afraid of losing this channel before it even starts.
Right. It'll be like the Eddie Hall fight.
Oh my God. What did it last? Like a minute against like 2 guys or 4? He had a lot of guys in there.
It was 2 guys and they were like these small guys and he literally like power bombed one and it was just unreal.
When you do a WWE move in a real fight, that's when you know you did something cool. Yeah. Choke slam.
Has that ever happened to you?
What, being power bombed?
Not like somebody hit you a wrestling move on you. I got basically rock bottomed in a barroom incident that was completely my fault when I was like 26.
So the closest thing was actually joking around. So in my college dorm, we were just messing around and I ran at my roommate Dylan and he back body dropped me. He bent over and I just ran over him and I flipped and my ass went through the wall. And we had to find a way to cover it up when the RAs came in. But then we found a way we patched it ourselves. I don't remember how we did it. I know that we got all the supplies. We got the whole wood for it. Yeah, that's the only time I've ever had and I'm a guy who trains with Sheamus, but Sheamus has never asked to because his finishing move is kicking me in the face. I don't want that. Right. And Sheamus is a large man. Like, I don't want him to do anything to me. Like, he's like 6'3", 265 pounds. Like, I don't want any of that smoke, guys.
No.
None of it. All right, let's play the rest here.
just in June made that decision on presidential immunity, saying that some of the things in this case had to be cut out, such as things that were allegations that may be part of Donald Trump's official duties as president, especially his.
Does she have an underbite?
Yep.
I think she does. Yeah, she should get that fixed.
His interactions with others below him in the administration.
I'm sure she has sleep apnea too.
Yeah, it's a pretty thick neck.
Yep.
That's not making fun of her, and we'll gladly help you out.
No, yeah,
100%.
That's 100%. The average person with sleep apnea has a neck above 16 inches. So,
yeah,
and fat.
Through the superseding indictment documents that we have, it's a 36-page document, and so what we have here now in this filing is that there.
So basically, if it's thrown out, they just do the same thing over again.
Yeah.
They're just going to keep doing this and eating up his money, election interference. This is so unlawful that there's no words for what this guy's doing. That is Biden's DOJ. By the way, who's running the country now? Where's Biden?
That's a good question.
Why is nobody asking? Why aren't the Democrats asking that question? Like, he's the current president. You don't see him
at all.
Where's he at?
And the vice president is obviously trying to, well, I don't know what the fuck she's doing actually. So
she won't give interviews, so I don't know what she's doing either. They obviously missed the whole Afghanistan memorial. Okay.
Which is unbelievable.
And then they cap on Trump for going. Oh, he doesn't like military people. Okay.
He's there.
That's just, well, I mean, then why does the military, the personnel, not the people in charge who are weird, why do they overwhelmingly support him then? Like, come on. Yeah. Come on.
Co-conspirators listed, but one of those people that we had before that would have been heard by many people on the jury if it had gone to trial, there would have been a lot of information about that official, Jeffrey Clark. He's not one of the co-conspirators anymore. He was a Justice Department official. Now it is 6 different private people, 5 private attorneys plus a private political consultant. Those are the people that are called co-conspirators here before the grand jury and now in this indictment against Donald Trump.
So basically they took the same thing, rewrote it, and now Trump's going to have to spend a few million to beat it. And he's going to beat it again because none of this is, but the Supreme Court, bro, they've been kicking ass. You know, like it's a federal court, but the machine gun thing was pretty cool. That's going to make it so I guarantee you that'll be seen by the Supreme Court. That will be seen, and they will confirm it, or they just say, no, we don't need to see this. We know how it's going to go. But then you have this bad boy right here. So this doesn't, and I'm going to tell you why this doesn't matter. The U.S. Supreme Court has just struck down the Biden-Harris plan to use taxpayer funds to pay off student loans again. But
that's why it's not going to matter.
But they did it anyway. He's going to do it anyway. And nobody's going to do anything about it.
Nope. That's
so
crazy.
Put in perspective. College graduates make more money than anyone in this country.
Yep.
So we are taking from the non-graduates, the poor, to give to the graduates, the rich, because they can't fucking budget. That's it. And so what about the guy who went to trade school, who didn't take loans, who spent 10 grand on ITT Tech or DeVry or whatever it is? What about those guys? What about the guy who's working in a sewer? What about the guy who's building high rises? He's footing the bill for these assholes. And yes, I do call you an asshole. Anybody, look, I'll be real. If I had student loans and the government just automatically took 10K out of the bank account, I didn't have to pay for it, I'm not going to cry.
Nope.
But as someone, but I'm going to say like, well, that's not right. I'm still going to be intellectually honest. But if the government's going to give me money, I've paid so much into it, I'll be like, all right, I think I deserve that. But the fact that this is even a question, the fact that these well-to-do college graduates, look, if you have a college degree and you still owe loans, either you got the wrong college degree or you're retarded.
And the thing is, what is your degree in? Should poor people have to pay taxes in order to pay back your loan for gender studies?
So also heads up, guess who has a minor in women's studies?
Who?
My wife.
Nice.
You want to know why? She needed one extra course to get it based after the requirements. She's like, she has some gen eds to fill. She's like, cool, I'll take women in Subarus, you know, they're lesbians. Oh, my brother texted me today and he goes, he's driving my nephew to school, right? They're driving to college, long drive, like 3 days. Right. And he goes, I just saw, he's in New Mexico. He says, I just saw a Subaru with a Trump bumper sticker. What the hell's going on in this world?
What's going on? That's crazy talk right there. That really is. That's not good.
ITT Tech. So Greg says ITT Tech doesn't, you get what I mean. I can't think of any other trade schools.
Right. But I mean, the crazy shit about all this stuff is that they just don't care about the Constitution. Like there was that one person recently that was talking about like, it's like outdated and shit like that. Like, you know what? You don't get to decide this. Like they're deciding not to listen to it. And they've been doing it. We've been allowing them to do it. Like no law that's repugnant to the Constitution is an actual law. TSA shouldn't exist. They have no reason to, they have no reason. I have my government ID. They have no reason to believe I'm doing anything fucking wrong. I don't even give a shit if you want me to go through a metal detector or whatever, but you should not be, the government should not be checking me out for my travel. Where I travel to and how I travel is literally none of the government's business. And that's the problem. The government is acting like everything is their business and we can't know anything about the government. There shouldn't be this. We live in a world right now where they can spy on you without a warrant because they decided they could because of the Patriot Act, which I hate that it's called the Patriot Act. But
that's what they do. Like the Border Act that Josh brought up yesterday. Yep. He's like, he voted against the Border Act. I'm like, all of us would have voted against that. Had nothing, and they were still allowing 5,000 undocumented illegal immigrants a day. It was basically just slowing it down. They'd still get over here.
Yep. And then we have it so they can spy on us. They can decide we have an open border, which is actually the part of their only actual real job. Securing our border, common defense, protecting our rights. That's it. That's all the federal government should do. We don't need the federal government to try to prevent disease because they're obviously shitty at it. We don't need the federal government to decide that which pharmaceuticals are good and not because they're literally in the can for the pharmaceutical companies. We don't need any of this, but yet when we try to get information from them, they call it classified and they won't tell us. How does that even work, man? Like you can spy on me, I'm your boss, but I say, what happened to John F. Kennedy? And you're like, oh, we can't release that. Like we should already have it. It's the same thing where I've always said, if you're a member of Congress, you should have to wear a camera just like a cop does with a microphone. And that shit should be downloaded to your constituents every day. While you're acting in capacity as an elected representative, we should be able to hear and see everything you talk about because you are representing us. There shouldn't be backdoor meetings. There shouldn't be these private things. There shouldn't be anything. We should be able to access it all the time. You are a public servant. We should be able to go to each congressperson's website and see what they said that day. We pay these people $174,000 a year.
AOC is worth $20 million now, by the way. Somehow, don't know how.
Yeah, plus, and the reason why they're not doing it is because they all insider trade. They all do. Which is another crazy thing. We allow them to do stuff that we would get arrested for, right? Hey, Mark, do you think if say the FDA or say Congress called you in over a supplement, and you just decided not to go, what would happen to you?
Nothing good.
Nothing good. So if you lied to them, if you went up there and openly lied to Congress, what do you think would happen to you?
I'd be in prison.
It's contempt of Congress. You'd be in prison.
I would be in prison. Yes.
But members of the government lie to Congress all the time, and Congress lies to us all the time. It's insane.
They get caught. And then we just let it go because we're so used to it. We're so used to it. It's really nuts what's going on right now. And we're taking it. But the problem is we have a bunch of idiots, even in religion. And here's something I pulled up. This is Pope Francis, who I believe is a plant.
Yep.
I believe he was put in there to completely dismantle religion. I don't believe this guy is actually Catholic. I don't believe if this is in a different language. Oh, damn it. Basically, he is saying that it's a grave sin to reject migrants. Really rich there, Pope. I don't care.
Okay.
Send me to hell. I don't believe, even if I did have a religion, it would be Judaism. We don't really buy into the hell thing. Send me to hell. If I'm going to hell, where the hell is this guy going? Definitely not heaven.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
look, and also for the Catholics, after the whole priest shenanigans, tell anybody they're going to hell. I'm sorry,
Exactly.
You've lost that privilege because you guys literally covered up child rape. Not just one, not just two, thousands of them for centuries.
And
I'm sorry, sorry, Catholics.
Even up to a couple decades ago, when the priests were getting caught, they would just ship them off to another place
to rape more kids.
Grape. He said grape.
I mean, look, man, I normally don't talk about religion.
Yeah.
And I don't want to offend a lot of my friends, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand Catholicism. Now my wife's family, they're Italian. Okay. Her uncles, I think her uncles were Monsignors. Like, remember Cardinal Mahoney? He was big back in the day with Pope John Paul. Yeah. Like they were like his dudes. Like you saw him and like his homies. Like they always travel like they're a gang and they're funny hats and shit. Mm-hmm. Like that was her fucking cousins. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was her people. And they were all at our wedding. So what I didn't understand, they came to our wedding because we weren't Catholic, but they wouldn't go to her cousin's wedding because she was baptized, but then she got married to a non-Catholic. But they wouldn't attend her wedding for that. But they attended ours. I think we just had better amenities. We got married at the Calabasas Inn. There was a waterfall. The food was delicious. I just think her cousins didn't have the bag like we did.
Yeah.
They just wanted really good shrimp. Like the shrimp at that wedding was shrimp. Well, it's a good ass wedding, man.
But the Bible says you shouldn't eat shrimp. So
it does.
Yeah.
Well, God damn it. Jesus Christ, damn it.
That's why Orthodox Jews don't.
Well, I thought it was just so it wouldn't smell like their woman's GGs.
Oh. No.
Hey, so
no, it's
so this is a true story. My mom was joking at the time, but she was like, I'm going to tell you about the birds and the bees. And I'm like, all right. She goes, what you do is you take the biggest thing you have and you stick it in the hairiest thing she has. And then she goes, so yes, you put your nose in her armpit. That was my upbringing. That's what it came down to.
Wow. It explains so much. It just does. You know what my upbringing was from my Italian mom?
What?
Go outside and leave me alone.
Yeah. And then she'd hit you until you left.
Dude, let me tell you something. I was like 7 or 8 one time, and we're in Kroger, and we're walking through, and I was acting a fool, and my mom yanked a wooden spoon off the shelf.
Did she have to? She hit you with a wooden spoon that was for sale.
A wooden spoon was her weapon of choice. She wasn't a shoe thrower or anything like that, but the wooden spoon, and it would like sing when it went through the air. But she hit me with this. Broke the wooden spoon, so we had to buy it. So then I got an ass whipping when I got home too. And don't get me wrong, my parents didn't beat the shit out of me or anything like that, but like my mom was a vicious savage with the wooden spoon. So it's just an old Italian woman thing.
God, that is awesome.
In the store too, like right now, if a kid gets spanked in a store, people are like, "Oh my God, call the police!" And like people are like, the store manager's like, "Ma'am, you don't need to pay for that. He was acting out." Like I'm like. I'm 8, man. Like, help me. She's hit me.
I'm not going to try to one-up you, but my mom is mentally insane clinically. So when I was 7, I thought I was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Okay. So my mom smacked me in the ass, and I laughed at her.
Ooh,
Next thing you know, everything was dark. She knocked me out. She punched me in my face. She just, just right here. I hit the ground, and then once I woke up, she goes, "No more open fist." I said, "I guess I'm going to act good now."
Well, but you learn that. Like me and my dad, I
never hit my kids, but I would never do that. But holy shit, that hurt.
I spanked my son once or twice. He needed it, but
Thomas needs it. Can you come here and kick his ass?
I don't know. Thomas might be able to take me. So,
dude, Thomas got me in a wrestling hold yesterday, and I couldn't get out. It was embarrassing. Then I had to pretend like I was joking. I'm like, nah, seriously, nah. But it was hurting. Like he had me in this grip.
But like the only time my dad ever really laid hands on me was when I was like 16 and I had been in martial arts and I was track team captain and I thought I was hot shit. And I'm like, all right. And he said something. I was like, what are you going to do? You know, like we went out. He was like, we go out back because this is what people used to do when they were like in my generation. And I'm like, I'm kicking him, and I go to like pull a judo throw. I'm going to do an omoplata, and this motherfucker hits me in my chest so hard, my soul left my body. It just like collapsed me, you know? And like, so I'm on the ground and I'm like, I can't breathe. My mom is freaking. And he's like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, sir. He was like, what'd you learn? Everything. I said, everything. I learned everything. So that was a good lesson. And I think that there's a moral to this. A lot of people in this generation have missed an ass kicking. Like, I mean, they truly have. They've missed like along the way an ass kicking that's important, because I tell you what, like my face isn't ugly just because of genetics. Like I've been in plenty of barroom fights and stuff like that when I was younger, and I learned something from every one of them until the point where I just stopped getting in barroom fights. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm glad you bring that up, because there are people who lack respect. This is from Libs of TikTok. Libs of TikTok, everybody. Hiya. So this is insane. Assistant principal at Corsicana ISD in Texas was permanently blinded in one eye after a student attacked her with a wooden hanger, knocking her eye out of the socket.
The situation.
Okay, let's play this thing.
New at 11, we are hearing for the first time this morning from a Corsicana educator who was injured by an out-of-control...
She's much better than the CNN chick.
Yeah.
Like, she looks better. She's healthy. Good neck circumference. Like, she's got the lip gloss going for her. She's in her 40s. She's living her best life, man.
Yep.
Hell yeah, I like this woman. I'm a fan. She should be on national news. Not that other chick's a DEI hire.
Oh my God, yeah.
Student
Absolutely.
Kendra Rogers.
Listen to her delivery. It's so much better. No slurring, no underbite. Let's get this woman on I'm going to petition for whoever this woman is to be on CNN. I'm a fan. Guys, if you know her Twitter handle, feel free to tag us with it. We want to give her some props for her delivery. And look at how good her hair is.
No kidding.
Everything's in place. She doesn't look like she just got out of bed, just got back from the Golden Corral. She looks great.
Showed us her eye injury when she was hit by a wooden hanger. We want to
a wooden fucking hanger? Jesus Christ.
Show you some of the details you're about to hear will be hard to hear. Our Lacey Beasley is live in Corsicana, where Rogers did have a lot to say this morning.
Hey, good morning, Karen. Yeah, this is the first time Rogers has addressed the public about what happened.
I'm sorry, my ADHD is going crazy. Why is local news better than CNN? These two are amazing.
Yes.
This girl is great.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
They're all slim. This is Texas for you guys. This is Texas.
Happened in
Texas versus CNN. Which do you want on your team?
Right.
Except for, I'm sorry to pause you like that. That's not a good look.
inside that classroom at Collins Intermediate the first week of school. Now she's saying that her right eye could be possibly blinded. Now, her family stood behind her as the assistant principal detailed what happened. Rogers says it started with a behavioral call to a classroom because of an irate student. She says she saw the student ransacking the room and knocking over furniture. Rogers told us the student threw a total of 3 chairs at her and another assistant principal as they tried to de-escalate the situation. She says she was not able to block a wooden hanger thrown at her, which knocked her right eye out of socket.
Jesus Christ.
Damn.
Doctors told her they believe she has permanently lost sight in that eye. She then turned her attention to Governor Greg Abbott and called on lawmakers to free up state money to help districts with safety and education funding.
How do you fund that? More resource officers? I want to hear what she says.
Yeah.
We must also care about the safety of our educational staff. Our safety is important too. We should never have to fear being in a classroom with an aggressive student.
Now, that student has since been detained and charges are pending with the district attorney's office. Karen?
So what do you think? I guarantee you there's no dad in this kid's house.
Well, I would almost guarantee there's some SSRIs in the kid's blood.
And couple those two together?
Yeah. Right now, like I think when we get back to making America healthy again, the autism rate, Asperger's rate, like those sorts of things are climbing so high that if it's not addressed, we're going to be in a lot of trouble because, I fear that a lot of kids are like 1 in 22 in California, 1 in 36 nationwide have autism. How do we address this? Like, that's a lot of people that have what are considered special needs, right? And we need to like really help them, but it's just like having a bunch of old people. Like right now, we have a young population that is going to be almost as dependent as old people are on the rest of the population, right? So these people are going to have a hard time holding functioning jobs. Not everybody is autistic. Like, whoa, Mark just left me. So, but not everybody is autistic like Elon Musk, and not everybody is ADHD like Mark and I. But there he is.
I hit that button again.
But like what I was saying is, not everybody is like autistic like Elon Musk, because he claims he has autism, but it's
high functioning,
right? But we need to address, like, prevent this from happening as much, but also figure out what's going on. There was another teacher that was almost beaten to death by that like 280-pound kid.
Yes.
And they're like pretty much saying like, well, he didn't understand. He was mauling that woman, right? And it's like he has autism. Like, I'm sorry, I get it, but at the same time, that means that, like, it doesn't mean we should let him back out. Like he almost killed that lady. He had to be pulled off of her. And I wonder where we go from here with this, because the easier we are on this stuff too, the more it's going to happen. Like, have you seen some of the videos where kids are like, you can't tell me to shut up. You can't take my phone. They scream at the teacher. They get violent. Like, man, all my teachers had a paddle at the front of the room. I specifically remember one of my track coaches literally punching a kid who pushed him. Knocked him out. And then when the fucking parents got there, I'm sure that kid got an ass kick when he got home, and the coach nothing happened to him, because like, you put your hands on a teacher, right? Like,
yeah, even in the 90s, like, stuff they used to get away with. Like one of my mentors, my coach, he used to get hyped up for the game, and this is 6'4", 300-pound man. And even with shoulder pads on, he'd punch you in the chest. And you're like, I got to go play now. But, it was a different day. People were tougher, and it made us better people. I'm not saying I need to go punch my athletes. Like, I wouldn't, that's not my style. But there's a huge difference. And I think that the reason, I had a good dad, but he was weak and he was sick. Right. Yeah. So I needed a Coach Miles in my life. I needed a Coach McCrill in my life, both, type A, very testosterone filled, strong, weightlifting, football playing men. And I needed that in my life. I needed a strong male role model, because my brother moved out to college when I was like 10. And so like, I had my brother the first part of my life to really fill that kind of role model role. But then when he moved out, it was like, I needed that. And that was when my life truly turned around, is when I had those male role models to set an example. Not necessarily like they weren't successful, but a lot of people wouldn't deem them successful. One was a high school security guard, and one worked for the NFL analytics. He just went in and found home for NFL. And now I think he's a security guard. Like, these guys aren't crushing it financially, but they're men, and they stood up for what was right. And they coached high school football for very little to zero money, because they just wanted to help. They wanted to help the next generation of men become better men. And that's why I coach today. I'm not even going to get into talking about it, because it makes me teary-eyed. But the reason I coach today is because of those two men, is because I feel that I need to pay it forward to what they gave me, and because I would be dead right now if it wasn't for those two men. I would be dead.
That's all. It's great that you recognize that, we
need strong men. We need strong men.
Absolutely.
And that's why I encourage every man watching this, every man out there, to coach. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you even know how to coach. Watch a YouTube video. Go out there, have fun. And if you see my video getting the kids hyped up for the game, if you've seen the video I post on my Instagram of Centennial Baseball there in the morning, and them pushing each other, teamwork, camaraderie, sportsmanship, just so much masculinity. And that's what I consider masculinity. And these are our future leaders. So the more we can help these men, I'm not saying, go there and talk about politics. I mean, politics.
Right.
I don't care who they vote for in 4 years. I don't care who they vote for. If a lot of them can vote. I never asked them who they can vote for. What I do know is that we need strong men, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, don't care. We need strong men to raise strong children, period.
Right. And that's, I mean, traditional masculinity needs to make a comeback. This whole crazy bullshit where masculinity was listed as toxic, like, it's who's going to fight your wars for you? Like, so, and I the last conversation I got into with somebody in person about this was, if say, not me, but say somebody like Mac Truck, like say you're sitting there having dinner with Mac Truck, right?
Yeah.
And like, he all of a sudden steps up and starts fucking beating your ass. You're calling a toxically masculine person to try to fucking come get him off you. You're calling the cops, right?
Yes.
You're outsourcing your masculinity to somebody. And everybody should just try to be as, it's one of my catchphrases, stay violent. Have the ability to be violent at any given time. And I'm not talking like you don't need to be a black belt. You don't need to be anything like that, but you should be able to protect yourself, your home, and everything like that. And I'm not saying that guns are necessarily masculine, but they're not feminine either. Everybody in my family shoots. There's crossbows and hang on. Literally my throwing axes. You know what I mean? Like they're like by the door. It's I
don't even need a gun there.
No, I believe in taking care of yourself, and we as a people should. If everybody was a little tougher skinned and had more confidence in themselves that they could take care of themselves, words wouldn't hurt you bitches as much.
People are soft.
Soft.
And we need to, and I'm not saying, again, like, I don't fight. I haven't been in a fight outside of a boxing ring since I was 16 years old. And I don't plan on changing that. Like, that's not my motivation. However, if someone threatens me, I'm going to tell you exactly where I am.
Mm-hmm.
I
see you do all the time.
Like, even with that John Livonia guy with his, I'm like, hey, on September 21st, I will be at Natural Body. Like, come and hang out. We'll break bread. I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid of anybody.
No.
And I'm not going to live my life scared. If I get my ass kicked, I get my ass kicked. It's going to hurt for a day or two, but whatever. I might die. All right. But I'm not going to live my life in fear. And that's the worst way to live your life. You don't want to live. I'd rather die than live my life in fear.
I completely 100% agree with you, sir. Completely.
With that being said, man, I love this. This is a great episode. I'm out of topics. Yep. we covered everything.
I'm out of topics also. I just wanted to tell everybody we'll be back tomorrow. And we're not sure exactly what time, but we'll be back tomorrow. But next Monday, coming up Monday, we have Jeff McCool, who is the lead singer of Moccasin Creek, one of my favorite bands. It used to be the band for my intro music. He's also Mimi McCool from WWE's brother, and he's the brother-in-law of The Undertaker. He's going to be on Monday night. And then Wednesday, we have Rachel Wilson, and I'm filling in the rest of the days.
Let's go. So anyway, if you're watching us on any platform, we are on YouTube now, if that's your preferred platform. If you don't like YouTube, we're good with that. But we're on YouTube because we have to. In order to get the word out, we just have to be. It's a brand new channel. It's youtube.com/@eveningrants. youtube.com/@eveningrants. Also, heads up, we have 2 big Labor Day sales coming on Friday. One is tigerfitness.com. I'll announce that. It's going to be a huge sale. And the other is going to be at ambrosiacollective.com. So rather than give you a coupon code, we're going to tell you to just sit back, wait for Friday, and buy from both sites.
Yep. Outstanding.
Support everybody.
And speaking of that, I'm going to take us out with a video explaining NC2. It is one of the active patented ingredients in alchemy, and I hope you all have a great day. So everybody listen up. If you're anything like how I used to be, where you're terrified of the holiday/gluttony season, because once you start eating the carbs and the sugars that are involved with the festivities, you can't seem to say no. And the next thing you know, 4 months later, you've gained 10, 15, 20 extra pounds that you then struggle to get half of it off or even any of it off over the course of the next 8 months before the next gluttony season. We created alchemy just for you. We teamed up with the Ambrosia Collective, and we created this glucose disposal supplement made up of 5 patented ingredients at clinically tested human doses, one of which is NC2. It is a seaweed extract, and it is absolutely amazing. In clinical trials, human clinical trials, it has been shown to help reverse prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. It helps raise HDL, lower LDL, lower triglycerides, lower your blood pressure. It has amazing effects on insulin sensitivity. So for those of you that have PCOS, this can give you an extra boost, and 1 in every 4 women has PCOS in our society today. So this will help you with your insulin sensitivity, not to mention that it helps take away the sugar demon. It just knocks it right off your shoulder. I get no sugar cravings when I take this twice a day, 2 capsules at a time. You should go to the Ambrosia Collective right now, use the code EveningRants, get 10% off, and get you some alchemy so you can be prepared for gluttony season and you don't gain that 10, 15, 20 extra pounds, because you'll be able to avoid the sugar demon all holiday season long.